It's an honor to be here today in the presence of a community of valor known as our first responders. In the 8 years since the tragic events of September the 11th of 2001, this day has grown in significance. It's grown in our national culture, and appropriately it's become a time to honor the members of the first responder community. They continue to reflect the bravery of those firemen and policemen, paramedics who raced into those burning towers. That premeditated attack on our homeland changed our world forever, redefining the meaning of national security, opening our eyes to the harsh realities of our world, and illustrating the unmatched importance of the men and women who bear the noble distinction of first responder. As we watched that tragedy unfold through the news reports, Americans were stunned. They were stunned by the audacity of these attacks, their ferocity and cold calculation bespoke a hatred that we can barely comprehend. As a nation, we grieved. We grieved the immense human toll, devastated by the number of lives that were cut short that day. As citizens, we're reassured and amazed at the selfless bravery of the first responder community. Like an offensive lineman in football, first responders sometimes go unnoticed. They go unnoticed when they're doing their job, when things are going right. In the absence of smoke and sirens, flashing lights, sometimes those flashing lights show up in our back rearview mirrors and we move aside as they are moving quickly. First responders can become invisible as the peace they defend comes pervasive. And before long, we take it for granted. We take them for granted. Of course, until trouble strikes and the alarm is raised. If anyone has been lulled into complacency by an extended period of peace and tranquility in our country, the events of the last 8 years have surely awakened us. Those attacks and the chaos that followed reminded us of how blessed we are to have committed peace officers, firefighters, emergency medical responders, our federal law enforcement officers. On that darkest of days, we saw the most dreadful side of humanity. But we also saw remarkable heroism. The images are burned in our nation's conscience. Hundreds of men and women, driven by courage and a sacred oath to protect, wading upstream through a river of fleeing victims to save those who could not save themselves. Our nation wept for each of the thousands of innocent people who died that day, including the 479 first responders, whose first thought was not of their own self-preservation, but the safety of others. September the 11th renewed our sense of appreciation for the men and women who are first to arrive at the scene of tragedy, who run into burning buildings to save a child, who give life-saving treatment to the injured, who step into harm's way to protect the innocent. As we mark this anniversary, I ask all Texans to pause, to reflect on those who gave their lives that day. I also ask you to remember those members of our armed forces who have given their lives in the global war on terror that continues. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families, with the members of our armed forces today who stand between us and those who would repeat the atrocities of that fateful day. In this moment, I also ask Texans to recognize the courage of our first responders because of their selfless service that continues. We're honored to be in their presence. The presence of so many brave men and women who today are in our presence, those who are here in person and those who live in our memories, memories of their families, memories of their fellow officers, and in the memories of a grateful citizenry. I'm honored to stand with so many of our state's finest who regularly set aside their own safety in order to serve and protect the lives of their fellow citizens. Each of us prays that we will never need your services. But when we do, we know that we will be in excellent hands. I want to speak for just a moment directly to those who have lost a loved one in the line of duty. I will never grasp the pain of your loss. But know that I speak for more than 24 million Texans when I simply say, thank you and God bless you. Those words may be small comfort, but you must know just how much the people of this state appreciate your sacrifice. You are remembered every day of your painful loss. But rest assured that the sacrifice that we recognize today has given life to others, made our state a safer place, and protected countless people from similar pain. Today, we recognize not only the sacrifices of all of our first responders, but also their heroic deeds. We reflect on the heroism of Captain James Harlow, firefighter Damian Hobbs of the Houston Fire Department. They lost their lives battling a blaze in a residence. Game Warden Ty Patterson, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, who died saving the life of fellow warden Danny Tuggle. Or Senior Corporal Norman Smith of the Dallas Police Department, who was gunned down by a gang member while serving a warrant. These are not the actions of people who first think of their own safety. Instead, these are people who not only swear an oath, but they live it out. They live it out in the full measure of integrity, bravery, and unassailable character. The recipients of these awards are our finest that this state has to offer. They are noble patriots, selfless servants, and our brave protectors. We take great pride in honoring them today. May God bless you, and through you, may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.